Welcome to this year's Memorial Day. I'd like to start with a quote, and we'll hit on it a little bit later. But Decoration Day is the most beautiful of our national holidays. And that's a quote. And this originally started as Decoration Day, and I plan to talk a little bit more about that. I also want to talk about the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Veterans Day celebrates service and those actively serving. Memorial Day honors those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And that's why we're here today, and really showing up matters, so thank you. Thank you for showing up to show respect to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. My goal today is to try to present this in a respectful manner that leaves an impact that hopefully we'll walk away learning something more about this wonderful day. We're so lucky today to have a Memorial Day celebrate with music. We're going to have a full program, which is I'm so thankful for. We do have the Ventura British Brass here, who have been here as long as I can remember, coming to this event. This program itself is dedicated to some veterans who have passed away this last year, and not part of the formal service, because these are just fine people that just happened to pass away that were veterans. And I'd like to show them the respect by mentioning their names, and if their family members are here after their name is mentioned, please feel free to stand up. This is an audience participation event for the next 2 hours, so please feel free to stand up or at the appropriate time mention someone's name. These 23 names I'm going to list right now, plus one more at the end. I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name ahead of time. The program is dedicated to the Ojai Valley Fallen Heroes 2016 to 2017. And like I said, if you know one of these people or friends with them or family, please stand up if you'd like. Thomas Lynn Borgen, Charles Robert Brown, Renee Ferry Dietz, William Hellett, Claude William Irwin, Richard Joseph Clinshaw, Ernest Levi, Gary Lockhart, Edward Eugene Mosier, Joe Allen Murphy, Daryl Dwayne Muth, Richard Dick Myers, Ernest Linus Richard, Earl Sizemore, Jerry Lee Slayton, Emery Sampson Stockweather, Robert Malcolm Taylor, Benjamin Wendell Walker, Eldon M. Walker, Ralph Lee Williams, Joseph Alexander Wingate Jr., Charles F. Witt, Martin Ray Young. I'd also like to add one more name on that list, and there's an empty chair up front. It was for my grandmother, Antoinette, the most beautiful, amazing person I've ever known. She, behind every one of the veterans, behind every one of these Memorial Day names we're going to mention today, there's a family behind it. My grandma personally nursed my grandfather back to health after being shot in the face in a trench in the Philippines in World War II. And she did that out of honor and respect, and I'll always smile when I think of her. And she's in this empty seat. She passed away July 6th of 2016. Thank you for everyone in the community, too, that made her life here in Ojai absolutely amazing, and you know who you are. It is a community here, and she loved living here. Today, I'd also like to mention two band members from the the Ventura British Brass that are no longer with us. Mr. Ron Gill and Mr. Dave Keeler. One administrative note, too, there is, I guess, an American flag pin that was lost by one of the members up here that's very valuable. It was given to her when she got her U.S. citizenship. So if we do find that, please bring it up to me. It's priceless. Let me introduce the unique sound of the Ventura British Brass. The band is modeled after classic British brass bands, which originated in the 19th century. The rich, dark, and mellow tone quality stems from the fact that all instruments are bored smaller at the mouthpiece and gradually increase to the horn's bell, permitting the brass sound to produce the most distinct and unique sound. Originating in Britain in the 1840s, they have become very popular throughout Europe and the rest of the world. For many years, these bands were kept alive in the United States largely by the Salvation Army's influence. So you know that's all good. We're so lucky to have them here And it's all yours.
Thank you, Colonel. And thank you, Ojai, for again inviting us to your lovely city. And good morning to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting us. And now, on behalf of the Ventura British Brass, it is my privilege to introduce our musical director, Mr. Gary Engels. Thank you very much. That's a song that we in the United States call My Country, 'Tis of Thee. And some of you may recognize it as a similar tune to God Save the Queen or God Save the King, depending on the current monarch in England. Now, this song came to the United States not directly via England, but via Germany, of all places. In the year 1831, a man named Samuel Smith. I don't know if he's related to the beer manufacturer, but those of you who've tried that, excellent beer, and my recommendation. Samuel Smith was commissioned, he was a seminarian, and he was commissioned to add words to some German folk songs. And he came across this tune that apparently either had a same origin or was originally from England, and he adopted words, patriotic words, and renamed the song, My Country, 'Tis of Thee. So that's a bit of the history of that first song. Our next song is going to be America the Beautiful. Not just any arrangement, an arrangement made by Carmen Dragon, very, very famous arranger and conductor. His son was the captain, for those of you who don't know, of the Captain and Tennille, and he had a daughter who was also named Carmen, so his daughter Carmen Dragon was a harpist and also a great musician. This is a rather modern arrangement, as was the first one, and it was transcribed from Carmen Dragon's arrangement by our own Hal Kyle. Hal, hold up your cornet. Please enjoy America the Beautiful. very much. Do you have time for a cloud of dust and a hearty hi-oh silver? We'll make it brief. Please don't leave just yet. More to come.
Where were you? You walked from your car to here? Yeah.
We're still got an hour plus to go. I do want to put one more request out there. First, thank you to the interpreters brass yet once again. I wish John could actually do the rest of this presentation. He's so awesome. So thank you. And at the beginning, if you just got here, one of the members is a new American citizen and had lost an American flag pin. So if you happen to see that, please find me. In the meantime, the only thing I can offer is one of the things that's valuable to me, and I hope it is my commander's pin. So until you get your flag back, keep this, okay?
Very nice.
So let's really find that. We can. Thank you. No, and can keep it as long as she wants. I'd like, while there's going to be a switch out of bands, there's some logistics going on back here. I'd like to, please show of hands, who has been to this event before? Can you just show me hands? Wow. Thank you. Who's their first time at this event? I love it. Thank you. You know, the goal was really to fill Libby Bowl. It was a personal gold mine, a family gold mine. And I think if the shade was a little more abundant, we'd get pretty darn close to doing that. So thank you so much. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. Another show of hands. Like I said, audience participation is encouraged. Who has been up to the wall of remembrance up top? See the photos. Yeah, if you haven't, please do that. It's one of the things that caught my attention years ago when we moved to Ojai is how much effort behind the scene goes on. And there's one consistency, consistent person in that I've seen. And does anybody yell out her name? Anybody?
Nancy Hill.
Nancy Hill. It's a name, really, it's just unbelievable the work she does, Patty Begley, and also the VFW members, Mr. Pressey. So Mr. Pressey, who's the chaplain for the VFW, local VFW Ojai, VFW, would like to say a few words about something he has planned, and I am supporting to document some of the posters up there. Mr. Pressey.
All of you who have served as veterans or who have family members who have served or serve know what it means to be a veteran. It does not matter whether you have heard a shot fired in anger or whether you remain stateside. Every single man, woman that serves in our armed forces has committed their life, their limb, and all future happiness to the cause of this nation, a nation drawn out of all the peoples and families of this earth. Our motto is E pluribus unum, and we see this even more so as you serve as veterans and as servicemen and servicewomen. Now, you have seen the wall out here that Nancy Hill, Patty Bagley, and the Women's Auxiliary has created over the years. Right now, there's close to 1,000 Ojai Valley veterans who are commemorated on that wall. Some died in combat, some were wounded, some were decorated, some never left the States, but they all served ready to give everything that a person to give. In this society of touchy-feely nonsense in the newspapers, people being upset about this and that, not being looked at or treated quite right because of some little slight thing, they do not know what veterans go through. They do not know the veterans that are sent out, never to return again. It's an awful feeling, but it's a price that veterans, those of you that have served, know about. Now, this valley has about 1,000 veterans, and Nancy has collected these posters with the American Women's Auxiliary, and we are working to preserve these posters in digital form and hopefully in a booklet where every single veteran, whether it is a 6-month term or a lifer, that means served for a full career, will be remembered, recorded, and recognized by unit and service. We hope to have this put in the library. We hope to have this put in the museum to honor the veterans of this valley. Now, this work is in progress. Patty Bagley right now is photographing all of these and trying to restore them so that we can put them into a folder and in digital form. This is going to take several years, and hopefully the Valley will support this. We already have a number of people, including the Ojai Valley Press, who have offered to help us promote this project. This valley is a valley of patriots. It's a valley of veterans. It's a valley of families of veterans. And if you're a member of a family with a veteran, you know how much it means when you have a loved one serving. Remember, we're one people, and as veterans, we recognize this, and we serve because we believe in this concept of e pluribus unum, one people out of many. Thank you.
You know, I had the privilege to spend a couple hours with Mr. Pressey, and there's a number of books, and you know, you can talk the talk, but Mr. Pressey walks the walk. He has 3 books that documenting the stories of local veterans. I'm sure many of you would probably know, and it's a quite interesting read, and it's heartfelt, and what an amazing gentleman. So we're going to get set up back here, and then we're going to start the formal thing, hopefully here in a couple minutes. I would like to start, and I think Mr. Robinson from Ventura Brass set the tone, and I will use a quote here, paraphrase a quote from General George S. Patton. It is not wrong, it is wrong to mourn those who died. Rather, we should thank God that such people lived. And that's the tone we're going to go today. We're going to talk about some things today, focusing on our World War II veterans. Like I said, I missed my grandmother from that point. It's the greatest generation, amazing people, amazing sacrifices, and they're starting to fade away. And so I'd like to bring something to the forefront, and I want to show of hands too, I guess, on this one. Does anyone know that there is if you know that there is a boulder with a World War II memorial here in Libby Park somewhere? Do you know that that exists? Show of hands. Perfect. Yeah, not a lot of people do. And so my request, in case I forget to address this later as we start our program, which is going to be a pretty emotional program for me, so I'll take all the help I can get, is on your way out, if you make a right at the arcade there, go toward, I guess it used to be the Bank of America. It's the parking lot. There's, on the way down toward the Ojai roasting, there's a boulder tucked in there on the right. It's got some flowers around it because my 10-year-old son and I put them there the other day, and there was actually some already there. But we're going to talk some more about those people. But that's my request today. Just, if you can, at some point where it fits in, just walk by there and take a look at that place and spread the word. It's really that important. And we're going to talk about some of the people on that wall a little bit later. So let me get stuff set up back here, and we'll move along. Give me 2 minutes. Since I do have a little bit of space here, what I'd like to do is Nancy Hill asked me, please, if you do have a program, look at the program. There's a list of sponsors that she wanted to recognize, and it's easy to become a sponsor too. Finding Nancy Hill is pretty easy around this town, and any donation does obviously go to continue this, so I thank you. Also, I'd like to thank the Boy Scouts Troop 504 for showing up. I've got a couple behind me, and also one of our newest Eagle Scouts as of last week, my son Tyler, who's 14. So, but a real thank you goes to the mentors out there. In particular, Jerry Thurston. He's mentored seven of our boys to Eagle, and Scott MacArthur also, just for his kindness and follow through in April. Also, that's a personal thank you. So thank you. So traditionally, we remember Memorial Day through music, and today we're extremely fortunate to have the Ojai Valley Youth Choir and Orchestra behind us. It's funny, I know a lot of these young people just from school-age children, very good group, and Thomas Frederickson is amazing. to offer his time on this, so thank you. A little bit about myself. I was going to do this, but we'll do it now in the interest of time management. I'm Lieutenant Colonel, retired Gil Von Driska. That retired makes me feel really, really old, but I feel very fortunate. I was one of the biggest honors I had was to be asked to be commander of the flying unit that I loved, and I just gave my commander's pin to that beautiful lady who just got her citizenship. And our mission up in Portland, Oregon was combat rescue, which was to train to rescue downed airmen and any other one else caught behind enemy lines. It's interesting today, when I was helping set up the wall, I met another combat veteran, or helicopter pilot, Bruce, whose stories were quite amazing. So that's another thing up on that wall. It's a very small world that we live in. It gets smaller every day, and it just showed me that today. So with that, we'll begin our program. I don't need that. Posting of the colors. Please stand. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Continue to stand, please.
Would you please place your right hand over your heart and join me and my fellow scouts in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
The Ojai Valley Youth Choir. Wow. Thanks, Dad.
for our Matilla High Junior High School Chamber Choir for joining us for this piece. The next piece that we're going to perform for you is Ashokan Farewell, which was a piece that was made popular by the Ken Burns documentary series on the Civil War. So I hope you enjoy the Ojai Youth Orchestra playing Ashokan Farewell. The next piece we're going to perform for you is a soldier's hymn, and this is going to be a feature for our string section of our orchestra. And since no Memorial Day performance would be complete without a salute to our armed forces, we will play our own armed forces medley. So please stand if you hear your song. Just have one final piece to play for you. This is going to be Freedom Finale, and this will feature our full orchestra. Is this working? Thank you.
Absent, sir.
This is the remainder of the names on that. Bushby Collins.
Absent, sir.
William D. Coleman.
Absent, sir.
Lawrence Urubu.
Absent, sir.
William Harmon.
Absent, sir.
Lewis Hayes.
Absent, sir.
Russell Higby.
Absent, sir.
Frank Hilford.
Absent, sir.
Howley Hawk.
Absent, sir.
Gerald Kierfoot.
Absent, sir.
Morris Leggett.
Absent, sir.
Glenn Loban.
Absent, sir.
Basil Norman Jr.
Absent, sir.
Fred Ontiveros.
Absent, sir.
Eben Peckman.
Absent, sir.
Robert Pierpont.
Absent, sir.
Hal Reed.
Absent, sir.
Keith Rickey.
Absent, sir.
Adric Simons.
Absent, sir.
Benjamin Stoney.
Absent, sir.
I'd like to continue now with the story of staying in chronological order by Mr. Pressey in his book. If he could come stand next to me, I'd appreciate that. I might need his help here. Just from Mr. Pressey's third book, The Last Chaplain to Die in Korea. Chaplains are not combatants. They do not carry weapons. Yet they were in the thick of battle area where they came online to minister to the young soldiers. The chaplains were a liaison between anxious parents, the families who often did not hear from their loved ones, who were now in mortal combat. It was while entering the combat zone to minister to the suffering men and boys holding the front that Chaplain Robert Crane was targeted by enemy fire. In a barrage that followed, the good chaplain was killed. The men of our regiment, this is Mr. Pressey's words, were shocked and heartsick that such a noble man should die. Chaplain Robert Crane.
Absent, sir.
Two of my friends, first one is First Lieutenant Eric Miller. He was an A-10 pilot. I went to pilot training with him as a good friend and just a heck of a fighter pilot. Killed in an A-10 training accident September 23rd, 1991. First Lieutenant Eric Miller.
Absent, sir.
A local son, Corporal Timothy Shea. 25. Is any of the Shea family here? Relatives there? He's on the wall there. He's the grandson to Magnus and Marius Struder. Died August 25th, 2005, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Corporal Timothy Shea.
Absent, sir.
My final one, and one of the hardest, is a young man that I was fortunate enough to mentor and got into the helicopter rescue business in the Air Force. And I remember how excited his mom was that he was going to fly rescue helicopters. He was killed January 2nd, 2014 in a training mission in England. Captain Chris Stover.
Absent, sir.
That concludes the roll call, and I'd like to have a moment of silence to think about some of these names. Thank you. We're now graced again to have the singing of Amazing Grace, if you guys are ready.
Amazing grace, how and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you. Two more things. We're almost there. we're going to end it with the Posting Colors, but taps first. I just want to go, before we have the playing of taps, it's a song we've all heard, but maybe a lot of us don't think of what the lyrics are, and I want to make sure I don't mess it up. So here it is. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is near. Color guard, retire the colors. That concludes our program today. Thank you. Remember, in the words of General Patton, it's not simply about mourning those, but celebrating that such people lived. And if you have a chance, please stop by the memorial. And thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you. And find some shade.